Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This is going to be my June mid-month wrap-up. And first I'm going to start up with the stats. So there's going to be a little thing popping up here, but I will also say what it is. But June was my best reading month so far for page number and number of books, because in June I managed to read 19 books across 6,793 pages, and the average star rating was 4.2 because I had some books that weren't that good. I read 4 contemporaries, 11 fantasies, 1 graphic novel, 1 historical, 1 horror, and 1 paranormal. I think that is the most diverse month I've had for different kind of reading tastes as well. And 2 of those were adult, 2 of those were new adult, and 15 of those were YA. On to the actual wrap-up. So first, if you want to, these are only going to be the ones that I've read in the last 2 weeks of the month. If you want to see what I read the first half of the month, I will have it linked. I don't know, I always forget which side it is, but I'll have it linked in the iCard as well as a link in the description. But first we're going to start off with More Happy Than Not by Silvera, and this is about a boy named Aaron who months prior his father died, and it is him still dealing with that, along with just being a teenager, and he ends up meeting this new friend named Thomas, and he starts developing feelings for Thomas even though he has a girlfriend named Genevieve. And I can't say much more, but in this book there is this procedure that can have you alter your memories, not remove them, but just push them down, and that is kind of the main focus of this. I can't say much more about this, but this I gave 4 stars. I did enjoy it, but the way that I would describe it is, the way I feel about it is more happy than not. The title explains how you feel at the end, because it doesn't end up with your typical happy ending, which I actually like. Next we have City of Ashes by Cassandra, Clare, and this was a reread, and I gave this 4.5 stars. My original rating when I first read it was 5 stars, but I feel like it needed to be bumped down a little bit more. And this, I can't explain much about this one since it's the sequel, but this series follows a girl named Clare Frey who enters the Shadow World, which the Shadow World is people shadow hunters who are humans with angel blood that gives them abilities, warlocks, vampires, werewolves, fairies, and all of that. And Clary gets introduced to the Shadow World because her mother ends up getting kidnapped, and we go from there, and this is the sequel to that, so I can't explain much about this, but this is a series I love, so I'm not really going to explain much more. Next we have Power of the Medallion by Shelton, and this I gave a 2 star. This is the lowest book I've ever given a rating for, but this I first will explain what first book about. The first book is about a boy named Kaitlyn who goes to this wizard academy to train to be a wizard, and there ends up being these medallions that have these magical abilities that enhance the magic, and I don't really know how else to describe it. I've kind of forgotten the first 2 books, but this final book was so underwhelming. It was just oh, you're gonna go there, and then you're gonna happen to go over there, and none of it's gonna make sense. And I just didn't like it. I'm being honest, I did not like it at all. It's probably the most disappointing read that I've read. One of the most disappointing books that I've read this month. This year. It could have been so much better, but things that were implemented and things that were done were just so like, oh, whoopee, or oh, that happened, whatever, and I was just wanting to I felt like I had to finish it because it was a final book in the series. I really did like the first 2 books, but this one just made me feel like, ugh. If the camera angle is off, I had to switch it up. But next is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the kind of like novella book for the A Court of Thorn and Roses series, and I can't explain this because it's like the kind of like the 4th book in the series, but like not the 4th book in the series, but it takes place after all the other books, so I can't explain what happens in this one. But in A Court of Thorn and Roses, we follow a girl named Feyre who she kills a wolf that's actually a fae, and she ends up getting swept into the fairyland as a punishment, and she then ends up having to break this curse that was placed upon the fairylands. I think it's almost 50 years prior or something like that, and this obviously is the kind of like novella for that, so I cannot explain anything about this, but a lot of people give this book a hate for it being like, doesn't feel like part of the series or isn't worth it, and like, it's just a fun read with these characters and a setup for the next chunk of the series, I guess. Next we have The Dragon Oath by Megan Linski, and this I gave 5 stars, and this is the 2nd book in the University of Sorcery series, and this book is about, this book can't explain much, but the first book, called The Woven Mark, is, in The Woven Mark we follow 2 point of views. We follow Emma, who is a basic girl as she thinks, but she then ends up finding out that she's actually from this secret country that has all this magic and all this stuff like that. And then we follow Ethan, who is the prince of this country, whose father just died, and we go from there, and Emma ends up traveling to this country to go to this university where you learn the magic and all that, and we have different, how do I explain this? We have like 4 factions of like magic, I guess. You have wolvens, dragons, alicorns, and griffins. Alicorns are kind of like unicorns, but not quite. And then wolvens are kind of like werewolves, but not quite. And they have the ability to do this, like the males in this can shapeshift into their respective animal creature, and then the females are mainly like these like sorceresses and all that, and I don't really know how well, this is very hard to explain. And The Dragon Oath is the 2nd one in the series, which I can't explain much more. This is just a series that I would recommend a lot. It is really good because it also has really good representation of health issues, as Ethan has only 1 leg and Emma has a autoimmune disease. I can't remember exactly what it is, but so it is very good for that representation as well. It is very good for representation in that matter. Next we have The QB Bad Boy and Me by Tay Marley, and this is about a cheerleader named Dallas who starts to become friends with the quarterback named Drayton, and it's them going from not talking at all to friends to more, and it is a fun read. I ended up giving this 4 stars. It's pretty good. This book, I actually remember reading the first 3 or 4 chapters when it was on Wattpad. a Wattpad as a paid story, but I couldn't afford to continue reading on Wattpad. So when I saw this on Book Outlet, I had to grab it, and I read it. Next we have The Raven and the Dove by Kaitlyn Davis, and this one I'm going to struggle at explaining a lot, so bear with me. This is about a girl named, I don't even know how to pronounce her name, Lana? Lana? That's how I pronounce it. Lana, who is princess of this place, and in this, like, not this union, but in this world, there are seven different monarchy type things that are all linked to these gods. And every generation there is this competition, I guess, for who becomes betrothed, mated, and eventually that. And Lana is a part of this. And we deal with Lana going through this competition type thing to eventually be mated, and I don't know how to describe it anywhere else. Just read the description of the book. I have all these books linked down below, but I don't really know how to describe it. It's really hard to describe because it's all over the place. You follow like 4 different point of views, and the world's very cool. I don't know if I mentioned this, I gave it 4 stars, but yeah. Next we have Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert, and this book I gave 5 stars. It is so cute. It is about, we follow Conrad and Alden, who are a part of this group that play this card game called Odyssey, and when they have the opportunity to go to this convention, like to an Odyssey convention where they have the opportunity to play the card game and possibly go pro in like a pro league, they take that opportunity to go, but it is across the country, and Alden refuses to fly. Conrad can't afford it, so Alden, Conrad, and 2 other people in the group decide to do a road trip. But situations happen where the other 2 people end up can't going, so it's Alden and Conrad just going on this road trip, and it's them. They don't really like each other at first. They're kind of like almost like enemies, and then it brings them together, and it's so cute. I will have an entire review of this, I think sometime in July. I need to figure out when I can post it. I need to film it, which I'm going to be filming after this. But yeah, it is so stinking cute. It is so stinking cute. I love it. And it's technically new adult, but it feels more YA, which I like, I guess. And finally, we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. And this was actually the book that made me complete my Goodreads goal. This takes place in a world where there are Fae and then humans. Fae cannot do anything of craft or they will die. So they pay humans with enchantments to do it. Crafts include things like painting, sewing, cooking, like all that type of stuff. And when Isabel paints a painting for the Prince of the Autumn Court, aka Rook, she ends up painting mortal sorrow into his eyes, which is a big no-no, and she gets kidnapped essentially into the fairy part of the world, and we go from there. And I gave this book 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. It was a quick read. It's a standalone, so it is perfect for if you want a quick read. I truly love Isabel and Rook, and they are so cute together. but these fairies are very dark and all of that, and I loved it. I felt like it could have been longer, but yeah. So though that was the second part of my month, the wrap up, I still can't believe I was able to read 19 books this month, which is insane to me still, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video, and bye!